Hello and welcome to World Talks on TVB World with me, Ashim Kumar. With no end in sight for Russia's invasion of Ukraine and the sudden eruption of hostilities in the Middle East, the global security environment has become even more challenging and complex. Will Israel's decisive action against Iran's nuclear ambitions have a broader impact on the region? And will Europe's resolve be sufficient to help Ukraine fight back against Moscow? Well, joining us to answer those questions today is Rudik, the Ukrainian Member of Parliament and leader of the Voice Party and a regular contributor. Kira, welcome back to TVB World. Thank you for taking the time.
Hello, Ashim, and thank you so much for having me.
Pleasure as always, Kira. Okay, so war's broken out in the Middle East, Iran and Israel. How does this affect Russia? I mean, we know that Iran has been supplying Russia with Shahed drones almost since the start of the war. Are there any other implications for Russia of this war?
There are different levels on which we should analyze the situation. First and foremost, of course, it's a military alliance of Iran and Russia, where Iran was supplying the technology for the Shahed drones. And if you ask any Ukrainian what they think of Iran or what do they know about Iran, they know that these are the people who invented the drones that are killing us every single night. Though Iran have sold the technology to Russia, and Russia does not rely solely on Iran right now in producing the Shaheds, there were still particles that were delivered to Russia from Iran, and we hope that the factories that were producing those particles were damaged during Israel's attack. However, it's not that the military alliance of Iran and Russia that is worrying. It's the implication of on the oil prices. So before the start of the attack of Israel onto Iranian capacities, there was hope that the European allies, together with the United States, will put the cap on Russian oil up to down to $45 for barrel from $60 that they are trying to do right now. And it would drown Russia's economy and put unnecessary pressure so they would not be able to afford the war. Unfortunately, the instability in the Middle East creates additional threats to the oil prices. So right now, while there are battles going between Iran and Israel, I do not see that our allies will be able and capable into risking putting additional sanctions on Russia, because the oil prices already went up and Russia is obviously benefiting from it. Not only from the fact that they are making more money on their oil, but also because they know that in these conditions, it's unlikely to have additional sanctions pressured on Russia.
Understood. So oil prices basically rising as a result of the Middle East conflict, and that's helping Russia generate income to fund its war. But, you know, what about sanctions and the export of Russian oil and gas? I mean, Iran has been under sanctions for many years, longer than for Russia, but it seems to have found a way around those. Is Iran helping Russia also evade sanctions?
From what we know, yes, of course, by obviously sharing the path that they have been using. Because you see, Iran has been under sanctions for a very long time. And these sanctions included the access to the technologies, the access to different nuclear technologies and capacity of building nuclear bomb. But somehow they were able to go ahead and be at the point where Israel would say that Iran is very close into manufacturing nuclear weapons. So we see that generally sanctions, as they are on different totalitarian regimes, are not being very effective. And countries find and leaders find different ways on overpassing them, so that, again, Iran was able to manufacture ballistic missiles even being under the sanctions, and not only like figure out a way to produce it, but actually being able to produce it physically? Isn't it showing the weakness of general institutions of the West that were able to create the cracks that then Iran was able to go through and get necessary particles from themselves? So it's a bigger question, and we are raising it with our European allies, with our American partners, saying, well, look, it seems that instead of adding every new package of the sanctions, we need to look at the existing packages and make sure that they are working. Because everyone knows, Ashim, how these overpassing sanctions work. It's going through the third countries, it's changing the buyers and sellers, it's purchasing it under the different flags. So people find a way. It becomes like a little bit more expensive, but still it is possible to do. And we need to make it stop, not only in situation with Russia, but actually for the sanction to mean something.
Yes. Well, I think you'll find many agree with you on that point, Kira. Now, Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin had an hour-long conversation yesterday, and they talked about the Middle East. And to the surprise of some, Putin offered himself as a mediator in that conflict. Your thoughts, Kira?
Oh, this is unbelievable, because Russia is clearly interested in the conflict in the Middle East. Honestly, I can see how Israel and Iran may benefit in the short term in delivering on their tactical goals, but in the long term, there is nobody in the Middle East who is interested in instability, including Israel, including Saudi Arabia, including Oman, including everyone. Everybody on the long term need a stable Middle East to be able to go with their strategies. The only country that benefiting of the instability is Russia. The only leader who is actually getting all the benefits is Putin. And this is why it's unbelievable that President Trump is looking out at Putin as somebody who can help him out. It's basically asking a fox to hold on to your cheese, or what was in that children's tale, which was
The fox in the hen house.
Yes, exactly. You're saying, oh, can you look out at my hen house? I heard that you were a world-known peacemaker at the hen houses. And this is unbelievable. Plus, the question that we are having right now is that President Trump was promising peace through strength. And right now he seemed to support Israel at their attempt in getting peace through strength. So when would be the time when the same thing happened for Ukraine, where our ability to defend ourselves will be supported by the United States?
Yes, yes. I mean, that is a very big question. I mean, Pete Hegseth, the U.S. Defense Secretary, said in a statement that the amount that the U.S. has allocated in its budget for next year has reduced for military aid. What is Ukraine's response to this? No numbers are known as yet. No confirmation has been received. But what is Ukraine going to do to prepare itself for that shortfall?
We will work with our European allies, because for us, it's not a question. We made this decision in 2022, and you remember it, Ashim, we decided not to capitulate. And right now, we are not going to change the decision. However, we still need weapons. We still need air defense systems. We need supplies. We need intelligence. And so we are working with our European allies on figuring out a way to cover for some of the downfalls that may possibly come. However, we also remember that it is not unilateral decision of administration and president and his team. I want to remind everyone that last time it was Republican Congress basically that voted for support to Ukraine and for increased support to Ukraine. So we are working with different Republican and Democrat congressmen and women on both sides of the aisle to figure out a way of moving forward. Because I think, again, the message that President Trump is sending to the world dictators is very dangerous. He's saying, well, you can make some so-called mistakes, you can start a full-scale invasion, commit all kinds of the war crimes, and then we'll figure out a deal with you. And I think that will create more instability, and that will create more illusions from different authoritarian regimes in the world who can go ahead and start a conflict and then just hope that it will be forgotten.
Understood, Kira. Now, talking about European allies, Chancellor Merz in Germany has been very supportive in terms of long-range missiles for Ukraine, and he's basically taken the handcuffs off, limiting the use of those long-range missiles in attacking Russian military targets. How would you assess the relationship now between Germany and Ukraine in the regard of supplying military aid?
You know, Ashim, during the last visit of Chancellor Merz to Kiev, there has been put an agreement that all the military support from Germany will be classified and this information will not be shared. And I think it's a very good sign when you are not being able to talk about it in public. So I can say, no matter what is happening there, Ukraine right now was able to hit certain targets within Russia that were producing drones, and it were successful operations that will increase our chances to survive. However, no matter what is in those packages from Germany, we still need more, because Russia has significantly increased the amount of drones and missiles that they are sending our way every single night. And of course, it is to exhaust our air defense systems. And of course, it is very hard for us to, again, simply live up to another day. And this is why our ask remains the same. Give us enough of the weapons so we can defend ourselves.
Understood. Very, very briefly, if you would now, Kira, there's a lot of talk now of Russia testing Article 5, NATO's Article 5. It's placed troops on the border with Finland and of course, the Baltic states are threatened. Your thoughts, very briefly, if you would.
We have talked about it since 2022. That Russia would do something like this. And I hope NATO has a very good answer, because this is exactly what Russia is doing, trying to prove that NATO is incapable. We hope it is not.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Kira, for taking your time, and stay safe. Goodbye.
Thank you. Thank you, Ashim.
Thank you. Bye-bye. That brings us to the end of this episode of World Talks. Don't go away, though. Lots more coming up. Goodbye.